We're back on the early edge, and it's time for our FCS Group of Five segment with Emory Hunt. Emory, this is one of my favorite segments. We were talking before we came out of the break. I had a really big live bet on New Mexico State against Missouri State I guess it was last Wednesday. Didn't come through for me. We can talk about that one for like 20 minutes if we want to, but I do want to get to some actual picks. And the reason I bring that one up is because one of our first CBS Sports Network games of the week is FIU at Missouri State. Of course, Missouri State is who beat New Mexico State in that bet that I lost. Talk to me about this game. We got a 3.5-point spread, a 51.5-point total. Are we on the Missouri State side?
I am on the Missouri State side, and the reason why I can trust their running back, Shamari Lawrence, who can tote the rock really well, and there's the revenge factor in this game because he played at FIU a couple of years ago, so you always like that element of a contest. But Jalen Brooks, to me, the linebacker from Missouri State, is playing phenomenal football. I think he's an NFL-type guy, run and chase-type backer that has the ability to get after the quarterback. And when you look at FIU on offense, you're looking at a team that tends to sputter a little bit out of the gate, even though they can put points up on the board. Them starting slow is what plagued them last week against Kennesaw State, which is why I like Missouri State, because their defense and their offense can kind of dictate and set the terms with their run game.
Yeah, Jacob Clark, decent last game. Threw a couple of picks, but I believe it was 28 for 44, 283 yards, and a few touchdowns. Again, that was an incredible game to watch. Let's go to Sam Houston, Louisiana Tech. This is another CBS Sports Network game here. What do we like in this one?
Listen, I keep talking about Louisiana Tech. I love their defense because I love how they can attack you within the front seven. Makai Mason at linebacker. You also have Sifa Leota at linebacker. Emmanuel Oguns at defensive end. They're good in terms of how they swarm to the football, how they make tackles in space. I know last week they kind of gave up a lot of big plays in their loss, but that happens when you're playing teams that, like Western Kentucky, that, can kind of spread the field and kind of make it an individual matchup. But these guys on defense will do a great job in keeping this sputtering Sam Houston offense doing just that, sputtering. Now, I feel for Coach Longo because he's a very good coach, great offensive mind, but he just doesn't have the pieces right now offensively for Sam Houston. And when you don't have those offensive weapons combined with a great defense in Louisiana Tech, you're going to get the doors blown off. So I like the Bulldogs here to win this one.
Pretty incredible finish for La Tech. Of course, losing on a 2-point conversion against Western Kentucky last week. A bold move by that Western Kentucky head coach there, going for 2. All right, let's go to, we always go to our favorite Mountain West team bet. We always lead off there. What is it?
Boise State minus 17.5 against Fresno. Boise State has decided to wake up and show some effort, and they're facing a Fresno State team that's sputtering on offense at the quarterback position, to say the least, and that's going to give them those ample possessions they need to really take control of this ball game, cover, cruise, and make the presence felt nationally that, hey, we're still in this mix. We still can fight for whatever we want. Everything that we want as a football team is out in front of us. So it starts with them taking their frustration out on Fresno State.
One thing I'm noticing with Boise State, at least in the last couple of games that I've watched, is they're getting off to slower starts. So for some reason you think this line is too high, you might be able to catch a 16.5 or even, something even lower into the game. Of course, Nevada was a pretty tight game, and then Boise State put the pedal down in the second half there, winning 24-3. Let's go to our favorite MAC team bet, Emory.
Buffalo and Bowling Green, I think, will go over 43.5 points. I actually like them to go over 43.5 points. I've been impressed. I've said this before here on this segment, where Bowling Green has done a good job under first-year head coach Eddie George, and Buffalo just has a ton of playmakers on offense, so they're going to be able to score. And I like that Bowling Green does it in their own way. They're a little bit more balanced. And when you look at this point total, Maction, we know, gets wild. And we have Maction in terms of how we kind of go about these games. We're going to get that in this contest because two good football teams, even though the record may not say they're great football teams, but I'd like them to go over this point total.
All right, let's go to a bet or game from another Group of Five or FCS that you're at least eyeing. Maybe not betting, or maybe you are betting, but at least keeping an eye on.
Man, I am 10 toes down, firmly standing foot in wet cement and waiting for it to harden up around my ankles, because that's how firmly I am on Navy plus 6.5 versus North Texas. I know North Texas is a juggernaut offensively, but my goodness, can people stop underestimating Navy and how they have the quadruple option, because their quarterback, Blake Horvath, who I think will look nice in the tuxedo sitting next to Haynes King and Diego Pavia in New York for the Heisman Trophy ceremony, because that's how well he's playing so far this season. Navy Now they start the varsity part of the schedule, because they have a slew of games coming up that can help them play their way into the college football playoff because they're undefeated right now. This is a great game for them. Another, big win that they can notch. I think they will win this game, but I will definitely take them plus 6.5. Navy, to me, they have North Texas. They'll have Notre Dame. They have Army. They have all these big programs coming up on the back end of their schedule. So right now they're not ranked, but if they start winning these games, they'll not only be ranked, but they'll be in the college football playoff. Starts with this one versus North Texas, plus 6.5.
Emory, I've got another group of 5 FCS question for you, but before I get there, you mentioned Haynes King. I remember doing the college football preview show, and when we were specifically talking about the ACC, you were the outlier, Emory. Can you remind everybody who you had winning the ACC?
Oh, I said Georgia Tech. I said not only will Georgia Tech win the ACC, but they're going to be in the college football playoff. They're going to drive that little 1920s Dick Tracy car that they drive out with the big, Honey Nut Cheerios B on it, and they're going to ride that thing all the way to the CFP. This is a very good football team. We watched last year how they took it to Georgia and how they took it to every big game they played. Now they just carry that over to this season, and they're undefeated in the ACC play. They beat the best team that they had to beat on their schedule, Clemson. Although we know Clemson now to not be as good, but that was still a big win for them. Their next biggest game is against Georgia. If they can beat Georgia like they should have last year before Georgia, all the refs had Georgia uniforms on, then we'll see Georgia Tech go undefeated, play probably whoever is on that ACC side of things because they avoid Florida State, SMU, Miami, all of those teams. They'll see one of those teams in the ACC title game, maybe Virginia, and we'll see them perhaps go undefeated completely and get into the playoffs and make some noise.
Emory Hunt, he was on this. Not interested in giving the popular pick, always interested in giving the valuable pick. Speaking of, we got 20 seconds left. Talk to me about an FCS or G5 school that can actually pull off an upset this week.
UT Rio Grande Valley just started their football program, first year in FCS, and as a program as a whole, they're 6-2. This team has beaten 3 FCS teams, and they had a 2-point loss versus Lamar, who's ranked in the FCS top 25. They got another big test, another ranked team here against Stephen F. Austin. We'll see if they can get it done. The Vaqueros have done a phenomenal job in year 1.
Absolutely love it. Thank you, Emory Hunt, for all the picks, all the analysis. Really appreciate it. And we appreciate you joining us on this show, but also on The Early Edge on the SportsLine YouTube channel, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock in the morning. Everyone have a great Monday. We'll see you next time on The Early Edge.